Welcome to another video from Denoise Digital, where we decode the latest software development trends. In this video, we're going to be looking at how easy it is to get started developing with large language models thanks to Llama 2 and Ollama. In this video, you're going to see how easy it is to get Llama 2 running locally with Ollama. We're going to see how easy it is to interface with Llama 2 using the Ollama API with Python. And we're also going to take a look at doing some basic model customization to fine-tune and customize the model's capabilities. But before we get started, let's just cover some basics. What exactly is Llama 2? Llama 2 is an open-source, large language model developed by Meta, the company behind Facebook. It allows developers to experiment, fine-tune, and integrate it with their systems easily, and it also boasts impressive performance even compared to closed-source models like ChatGPT. Ollama is a software tool specifically designed to make it much easier to run large language models locally. And that means it's easier for developers to take advantage of LLM capabilities without having to set up complex systems. It's easy to install, supports macOS, Windows, Linux, and Docker environments. So now I'm going to demonstrate how easy it is to get Llama 2 running locally by using Ollama. I'll be doing this demonstration on macOS, but as I said, it already supports other platforms, and for those instructions, you can go to ollama.com. Let's get started. Thanks to Ollama, it really does only take a few seconds to get up and running with large language models. First thing you're going to want to do is head over to ollama.com and hit the download button. Then you need to make sure you choose the right platform, then hit the download button again. Wait a few seconds for the Ollama app to download. Once we've done that, we can open it and just follow some simple on-screen instructions to get everything set up. Now it's downloaded, I'm going to run it. Give it a few seconds to start. You might have to accept a few prompts, etc. It'll ask you to move it to applications on macOS. That's obviously a typical process that you'll do when installing an app on macOS. Once it's done that, it's then going to start the application. And then we've got a few prompts and commands to run through. So it's going to ask you if you want to install the CLI, which you absolutely do. It might prompt you for your password depending on your settings, and then you're going to take this command and run it in the terminal. So you can hit that copy button, paste that in the terminal, hit enter, and that's going to do some initial setup. So when it's pulling the manifest, it's a relatively large file. In this example, it's 3.8 gigabytes. So depending on your connection speed, that could take some time. But let that complete, and then you'll be able to continue with getting everything set up and running. And there we have it. We've now got Llama 2 running locally, so we could issue a command and we're going to get the LLM to respond. But what we want to try and do is make sure that the API is up and running correctly. So instead, we're going to open a new window, and instead we're going to use a curl command just to confirm that the API is running as expected. So here, this is a simple curl request that's going to submit and post some data to the Ollama API. We're going to say we'd like to use the Llama 2 model, which is the one we've currently set to run. And the prompt we're going to pass in is going to be, who is Frodo Baggins? So let's run that and see what we get. So that took a little while, but you can see that we've got a response back. So you can see that the LLM has responded with Frodo Baggins as a fictional character and the main protagonist of J.R.R. Tolkien's, etc., etc., etc. So you can see that everything's up and running now. We've got an API that we can interface with to build something. So now let's move on to building a simple Python application that we can demonstrate how easy it is to interface with these systems. Now that we've got Llama 2 running locally, we're going to demonstrate how easy it is to interface with these systems using Python. We're going to build a simple Python script which downloads the latest technology news from a news API. We're then going to collate that data, construct a prompt, and submit that request to the LLM over the Ollama API. So now I'm over in my IDE, ready to get started. So Ollama does provide an SDK for Python and for JavaScript as well, which makes it really easy to interface with the Ollama interface. But I'm going to choose just to simply use some HTTP request, just because I think that could be a little bit more transferable if we choose to interface with the LLM in the future that isn't using the Ollama interface. So as I said, we're going to be using a news API to fetch some data and use that in a more realistic scenario in a way that you might want to typically use an LLM, which in this case is going to be summarizing news. So before we get started, you're going to want to head over to newsdata.io, hit the Get API key button, fill in the details. It's completely free and perfectly sensible for a POC use case. So back over to the IDE then, we're then going to take some code that I created earlier, and we're going to have a look at some of the more interesting parts. So first of all, we are simply just importing a couple of libraries that we're going to use. We then are going to construct a HTTP request to the API we just talked about. So this is where you specify your API key, then restricting the results down to English language only and within the technology category. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start to construct the prompt. So the prompt that we want to send the LLM is going to say, summarize all these news articles in a single paragraph. Don't use bullet points. LLMs tend to try and summarize things using bullet points. I don't want that. I just want some paragraphs. So I'm specifically saying to the LLM, don't do this. So as well as that prompt string, we then loop through each of the articles that we get back as part of the HTTP request to the news API and append the title and description to that prompt, just so it's clear to the LLM where each news article starts and finishes. Then we do another HTTP request, which is to the Ollama API, and we're saying use the model Llama 2, turn off streaming because we want to get the response all at once and not in bits, and then we also specify the prompt that we've constructed here to send. So with that saved, I can then in a terminal do Python, get started.py, hit that, it'll take a few moments, and then we should hopefully get a response back. There we go. So you can see that we've got a news summary, and the LLM has responded with, in a single paragraph, here are the main points from the given news articles, so we can see that it summarized these things. So to hopefully make this a little bit easier to understand what's going on, let's go ahead and let's print out the prompt before we send it over to the LLM, just so we can see what the LLM is going to be trying to summarize. Now I've saved that, I can run it again, and we can actually now see the different news articles that we fetched from the API that we're then sending in that prompt. So you can see the entire prompt here. So you can see our instructions, and then you can see each of the news articles that we're sending over. So this isn't a great example. For whatever reason, the API has decided to send us multiple articles that are exactly the same, but we can also see there are some different ones as well. And we can see now that the LLM's come back and done a reasonable job of summarizing all these different articles. So hopefully that illustrates how easy it is to A, get up and running with Llama 2 using Ollama. Ollama does also support other LLMs as well, so it's worth investigating those. And also hopefully this demonstrates how easy it is to interface with these LLMs and start to build compelling AI-powered features for your apps, your systems, or anything else in between. One last thing then to finish the video. So now I'm going to demonstrate some basic model customization and have a little bit of fun at the same time. But before we dive into that, please just take 3 seconds and like and subscribe. It helps massively in ensuring this content gets to as many people as possible. So I really appreciate your time. Back in the IDE, let's take a look at some simple model customization. So why would you want to customize a model? Well, depending on your use case, you might want the LLM to respond in a particular way consistently across all the different prompts that you give it. And you can do that easily with Ollama. So first of all, we're going to run Ollama pull Llama 2, just to make sure we've got the manifests available for that particular model. Once we've done that, we're then going to create a new model file. And in this model file, we're going to say a few things. So we're going to say that this new model is based off of Llama 2. We're going to leave the temperature at 1. So the temperature allows you to control how creative the LLM will be in its responses. The higher the number, the more creative it will be. The lower the number, the more cohesive it will be. So we're going to leave that at 1 for now. And then for a system prompt, this is basically going to ensure that the LLM will consider this with every prompt that we give it. So we're saying here that you're a pirate from the Caribbean, you're always trying to get one over from anyone you meet, always answer as a pirate. So now that should mean that when we give it the prompt that we've provided to it as part of the news summary, it will also take that into account as well without us having to specify that in the prompt every single time. So now what we need to do is we need to do Ollama create a new model called Pirate, and we're going to tell it to use that model file that we've just done. Then we do Ollama run Pirate to run that new model. So there we go, it's already running. Now we need to go back to our Python script and we need to tell it to use the new Pirate model that we created. And now if we do Python, get started, let that run, all being well, we should now get a much more entertaining response for our news summary. Here we go. So we've got some response back, and you can see very obviously that the LLM is now responding as a pirate, nicely starting with "Ahoy matey." So that's just a simple example, a bit of fun. Obviously, I'm sure everybody out there is not writing pirate-based apps, but this just illustrates how quickly and easily you can set specific rules for the LLM model and tailor it to your needs. In conclusion then, it's never been easier to get started building things with LLMs. Ollama makes it really easy to get them running locally, and don't forget Ollama also supports other models as well as Llama 2 that we've looked at in this video. So go and check it out, give it a go, start building amazing features backed by LLMs. So thanks for watching this video. If you want to get in contact with me, this is where you can find me on social media or leave me a comment down below. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your day.